been throwing horseshoes over my left shoulder.
Hello YouTubers, it's me, Mr. Can. I have decided to make this video because I had a good visit with my dad today. He came over to the house and he visited with me for a while. I showed him a little bit of the stuff that I've put up on YouTube, and he thinks I'm just as twisted as the rest of my family. Anyway, after the visit, he went ahead and left, and I went in there and I started doing the dishes. Well, as I was doing the dishes, I remembered a story on my dad. And my dad used to come over to our house on 20th and Magnolia. And he would visit, and it was like clockwork. Every single day, he would show up. You could always hear his van pull up. And he'd get out, and he'd come in, and he'd talk with us for a little while. He'd sit on one of the dining room chairs, and he would go ahead and watch some TV with us. And then, after a little bit, you'd look over, and he'd be asleep in the chair, just kind of, you know. Well, this one time, he decided to help us out, and while we were watching a movie, he got up and walked off into the kitchen. Oh, he's gone a while, quite a while actually. I decided to go look because I never heard his van pull away. And so I walked in there and he's doing my dishes. And I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? He says, son, I'm just doing these few little dishes here. He said, but son, I'm having the worst trouble with this skillet here. He said, I'm trying to get all the black stuff off and it's just not coming off. And I look over, and boy, he's worked hard at it. He had a butter knife, and boy, he was scraping that skillet. And boy, he was bound and determined to get off all the black off the bottom of the skillet. And I start getting tickled because this was Visionware. And if any of you remember Visionware, which some of you I'm sure do, it was a clear glass type of skillet. But the bottom of it was Teflon coated. So my father spent probably about a good 30 minutes to an hour trying to remove the Teflon off the bottom of my skillet. I couldn't help but giggle because of his intent behind it. Not that he just destroyed my pan, because, what's a pan when it's someone you love, you have to view the intent. So he did. He worked so hard on that skillet, trying to get it clean. He had this great big old big spot in the bottom where there was now no longer Teflon. You could see right through. But the intent was definitely there, and my dad, he just really cracked me up that day when he did that. And I told him, I said, well, Dad, that's Teflon. It's actually supposed to be there. Oh, son, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin your pan. I'm like, Dad, it's okay. It's okay. That's no problem. Now, in telling that story, I kind of want to move on to this next story, and where the intent was missed. My grandmother went ahead and left and went to, we call them one of her many vacations, or I do. And what it was is that Grandma would leave and she would go visit her family, her brothers, or her mother, her father, she'd leave and go visit them for a few days. And this one time when she left, my grandmother did everything in the house. She did all the cooking, all the cleaning. My grandmother was an amazing woman to me because my grandfather worked out in construction, no ability to contact her whatsoever. And my grandma would get feelings, well, he's going to be late today. And she would always have dinner prepared and on the table when Grandpa walked in the door. Didn't matter what time. There was like few set times that Grandpa would actually show up. So, it was always around the same time, but it was never, exactly the same time. But if he was running late, Grandma would already know it. And she would have dinner prepared and ready and on the table. Anyway, back to the other story. Well, she was gone, and I decided to help around the house. And we lived in Hot Springs in a trailer. And in their bedroom, the bedspread that was on the bed matched the curtains. Well, the curtains were dirty, so at 11 years old, I decide to go ahead and wash these curtains for her. So I take down the curtains, I put them in the washing machine, put the soap in. I knew how to do laundry, so, you know, I didn't do anything wrong. But the effect was not good. Put it on the gentle cycle, it washed the whole thing, and I pulled the curtain out, and they shredded. They had great big old slits down them. It didn't go ahead and destroy how you put them up, didn't destroy, you know, where the curtain rod goes. But the rest of the curtain was pretty much shreds. I had thought, well, maybe I'll just get a needle and thread and sew them. You know, maybe she won't notice, but I knew my grandma. She would notice that. So instead, I decided to hang them back up like they were and pretend like I'm wrong. I don't know. You know, these dumb things we do when we're kids. And so I hung them back up. Grandpa came home, never even noticed them. Had no clue that they were shredded. Grandma got home, and I think that was pretty much the first thing she noticed when she went to the bedroom. She came out and she bawled me out. She did not see the intent behind the event, but so I guess if you go back and look at the sock story, it kind of makes a little bit understanding why I got tickled, because I saw the intent behind it and not actually the action. Because I was just trying to do a good deed, but boy, it turned out bad. Them curtains were shredded. Well, I didn't know they were that old. I didn't know you weren't supposed to wash something that old. But apparently the sun and dust took their toll, you know. But anyway, I just thought I'd share those stories with you. And I guess I'll talk with you all later. Bye.
Love you too, and that's the way love goes.